Rick Prime didn't just kill Diane and Beth, he forged Rick C-137 into a weapon of revenge. The multiverse? Not infinite at all, but a cage Rick built to stay on top. His love for family? A blade that destroys countless other lives. Even the jokes you laugh at? They're conditioning, teaching you to see abuse as normal. Wubba lubba dub dub. Not a gag, but a cry for help you've been trained to ignore. And memory erasure? Not protection, but gaslighting, eliminating any chance to resist. These aren't fan theories. They're the hidden codes of Rick and Morty. Rick Prime's murder of Diane and Beth seems like random cruelty. Sociopathic Rick destroying another Rick's happiness out of malice. But what if this wasn't random violence? What if Rick Prime carefully selected Rick C-137 as his target, deliberately creating the perfect weapon to eliminate other weak Ricks who maintained emotional attachments? Examine Rick Prime's target selection specifics. In Solarix, Rick C-137 was living normally as father and inventor, showing no interest in interdimensional travel or Rick-level technology. He was completely harmless by Rick standards, exactly the weak Rick that Rick Prime despises. Why target him specifically instead of countless other family-oriented Ricks across infinite dimensions? The answer lies in methodology. Rick Prime doesn't kill Rick C-137 directly, he offers portal technology first. Rick Prime presents C-137 with choices to abandon family and embrace Rick lifestyle. When C-137 refuses, only then does Rick Prime murder his family. This isn't impulsive revenge. It's calculated recruitment with backup plans. Notice destruction precision. Rick Prime doesn't kill Rick C-137 with his family, which would be most efficient. He leaves C-137 alive but broken, with just enough portal knowledge to begin hunting. Rick Prime creates exact conditions needed to transform loving fathers into revenge-obsessed killing machines. Timing reveals long-term planning. After murdering Diane and Beth, Rick Prime doesn't engage C-137 in battle or finish him off. Instead, he disappears completely, allowing C-137 decades to develop skills, build reputation, and become increasingly dangerous. Rick Prime creates his pursuer and deliberately stays ahead, leading C-137 on multiversal hunts that systematically eliminate other Ricks. Rick C-137's decades-long hunt serves Rick Prime's agenda perfectly. Every Rick that C-137 kills while searching for Prime is one less weak Rick cluttering the multiverse. C-137's reputation as most dangerous Rick deters other family-oriented Ricks from maintaining attachments. Rick Prime doesn't need to personally eliminate every sentimental Rick. He's created weapons that do it for him. The Central Finite Curve might be Rick Prime's ultimate achievement. By driving Rick C-137 to eliminate Ricks across infinite dimensions, Rick Prime helped create contained multiverses where only ruthless, family-abandoning Ricks survive. Rick Prime didn't randomly target Rick C-137. He engineered him into the perfect weapon for eliminating weak Ricks. Every violent act Rick C-137 commits hunting revenge serves Rick Prime's larger agenda of purging the multiverse of Ricks who maintain emotional attachments. Rick C-137 isn't hunting his creator's killer, he's serving his creator's purpose. But if Rick Prime engineered Rick C-137 as a weapon to reshape the multiverse, what does that tell us about the artificial boundaries Rick has created around reality itself? Rick constantly boasts about infinite realities and endless possibilities, the foundation of his nihilistic philosophy that nothing matters because everything exists somewhere. But what if infinite dimensions is Rick's greatest lie? What if the Central Finite Curve doesn't just limit which realities Rick visits, but reveals that infinity itself was always an illusion designed to justify Rick's actions? Examine the mathematical impossibility of Rick's infinity claims. In Rick Potion number 9, Rick states they can only replace themselves 3 or 4 more times tops before running out of suitable dimensions. If truly infinite realities existed, this limitation would be impossible. There should always be infinite backup dimensions available, regardless of how many they've destroyed. The Central Finite Curve's existence contradicts infinite possibility. In Rick Mirai Jack, Evil Morty reveals Rick built barriers around realities where he's smartest. But constructing finite curves around infinite dimensions would be mathematically impossible. You cannot contain infinity within any boundary. The curve's existence proves the multiverse Rick operates within has always been finite. Notice Rick's portal gun operates with specific coordinates and calculated destinations. In the Rick Shank Rickdemption, Rick demonstrates precise interdimensional mathematics, calculating exact portal trajectories. If infinite realities truly existed, Rick's technology would require infinite computational power to navigate infinite possibilities. Instead, calculations suggest large but finite destination sets. The Citadel's database provides damning evidence. The Council maintains comprehensive records of Rick variants across dimensions, implying they've cataloged the entire multiverse. You cannot create complete databases of infinite entries. Their record's very existence proves they're working within finite parameters. Rick's infinite realities philosophy serves as psychological justification for crimes rather than scientific fact. By claiming infinite dimensions exist, Rick can rationalize any atrocity. Somewhere else, everyone I killed is still alive. The infinity concept isn't cosmic truth, it's elaborate self-deception designed to eliminate moral responsibility. The Central Finite Curve represents Rick's admission that he's artificially manufactured appearance of infinite choice while operating within strict limitations. Rick hasn't discovered infinite realities. He's created finite sandboxes and convinced everyone that it represents infinite possibility. The multiverse was never infinite. Rick constructed the Central Finite Curve not to select favorable dimensions from infinite options, but to maintain illusions of infinite choice while operating within finite reality he's systematically controlled. Every appeal to infinite possibilities has been gaslighting on cosmic scales. But if Rick's been lying about infinite realities to justify actions, what does that reveal about how his emotional attachments function as weapons rather than redemption? Rick's character development seems to show him learning to love his family and become emotionally available. Fans celebrate moments when Rick expresses genuine care as proof of growth and redemption. But what if Rick's emotional attachments aren't evidence of returning humanity, but the source of his most calculated and devastating cruelties? Examine what happens when Rick claims to act from family love. In The Wedding Squanchers, Rick's sacrifice to save his family results in complete Galactic Federation destruction, not just Earth operations, but governmental structures across multiple star systems. Rick frames this genocide as protecting loved ones, but destruction scales far exceed reasonable defensive measures. In The Rickdemption, Rick's rescue mission for Morty leads to systematic Citadel annihilation. Thousands of Ricks and Mortys die not because they directly threatened Rick's family, but because Rick uses family safety as justification for eliminating inconvenient political structures. Rick's most devastating actions are consistently framed as family protection. When Rick destroys dimensions in Rick Potion number 9, he claims it's giving Morty normal life. When manipulating memories throughout series, he argues it's sparing family pain. When committing multiversal genocide hunting Rick Prime, he presents it as seeking justice for Diane and Beth. Examine correlations between Rick's expressed love and escalating violence. As Rick becomes more openly attached to family, his willingness to commit atrocities increases exponentially. The more Rick cares, the more dangerous he becomes to everyone else. Rick's love doesn't redeem violence. It amplifies it by providing unlimited psychological justification. Every atrocity becomes defensible when framed as protecting family. Rick's emotional attachments don't limit evil capacity. They remove every ethical constraint that might have prevented maximum destructiveness. Rick's love for his family isn't redemption, it's his most dangerous weapon. Emotional attachments don't make him more human, they make him more monstrous by providing unlimited justification for unlimited violence. Every act of love becomes license for greater cruelty. But if Rick's love functions as justification for escalating violence, what does that reveal about how the show itself conditions us to accept these patterns? Rick and Morty's humor seems like brilliant dark comedy, making serious topics digestible and entertaining. But what if the show's comedic structure isn't just entertainment, but sophisticated psychological conditioning? What if every laugh trains viewers to normalize abuse, dismiss trauma, and become complicit in the manipulation patterns the show depicts? Examine how the show's humor consistently functions. When Rick abandons entire dimensions to cosmic horror in Rick Potion number 9, the episode treats Morty's existential breakdown as comedic content. Audiences laugh at Morty's trauma response rather than recognizing realistic reactions to witnessing interdimensional genocide. Comedy transforms horror into entertainment. Rick's most abusive moments are consistently framed as punchlines. When Rick erases Morty's memories in Morty's Mind Blowers, each memory deletion is presented as comedic revelation rather than evidence of systematic gaslighting. When Rick manipulates Beth's memories in The ABCs of Beth, episodes focus on situation absurdity rather than psychological violations. The show's structure mirrors classic abuser tactics, isolating viewers from natural empathetic responses by making cruelty funny. When Rick commits acts that would horrify drama audiences, comedic framing trains viewers to suppress moral instincts and laugh instead. Most revealing, how the show handles genuine vulnerability moments. When characters express pain or seek help, these moments are quickly undercut with jokes or dismissed as weakness. Morty's therapy attempts are mocked, Beth's validation needs are satirized, and Jerry's depression becomes comedic content. Humor serves as delivery systems for Rick's worldview, teaching audiences to adopt nihilistic perspectives through entertainment rather than argument. By making Rick's cruelty funny, the show conditions viewers to accept that emotional manipulation, gaslighting, and abuse are normal relationship dynamics rather than serious problems. Rick and Morty's comedy isn't satirizing abuse, it's normalizing it. The show functions as psychological conditioning that trains viewers to laugh at trauma, dismiss emotional needs, and adopt abuser worldviews. Every laugh makes audiences more complicit in manipulation patterns. But this manipulation extends beyond show structure. There are hidden messages embedded in Rick's very language that reveal manipulation depths. Wubba Lubba Dub Dub appears to be Rick's nonsensical catchphrase, random syllables embodying his chaotic personality. Fans quote it, merchandise features it, and it's become synonymous with Rick's absurd humor. But what if this isn't meaningless gibberish? What if Rick's most famous phrase is actually a desperate cry for help? In Ricksy Business, Bird Person reveals the devastating truth. Wubba Lubba Dub Dub means, I am in great pain, please help me, in his language. This canonical explanation recontextualizes every previous use. Rick has been literally begging for help while disguising desperation as comedic nonsense. Rick doesn't say it randomly. It appears during stress, isolation, or after acts that weigh on him psychologically. In Pilot, he uses it while drunk and reckless. In Me Seeks and Destroy, it follows traumatic adventures. The phrase emerges from pain, not joy. The linguistic disguise serves multiple psychological functions. By encoding distress signals in alien language, Rick can express help needs without admitting vulnerability to family or compromising his all-powerful image. He remains authentic about suffering while ensuring most listeners won't understand. Most chilling, audience response to Rick's distress signal. Every time Rick says wooba looba dub dub, viewers laugh and cheer. The phrase meaning, I am in great pain, please help me, has become entertainment and comedic branding. This reveals the show's most sophisticated manipulation, making Rick's genuine psychological crisis into entertainment content. The phrase represents his one honest vulnerability expression, transformed into comedic merchandise. Audiences unknowingly celebrate Rick's pain while remaining ignorant of his actual emotional state. Wubba Lubba Dub Dub isn't Rick's catchphrase. It's his distress call written in a language no one around him speaks. Every time audiences laugh, they're celebrating someone's desperate cry for help while remaining unaware of the suffering they're enjoying as entertainment. But Rick's linguistic manipulation goes deeper. He's weaponized memory itself to ensure victims can never recognize his abuse patterns. Rick's memory gun appears to be a benevolent tool, sparing his family pain by removing traumatic experiences. Rick frames memory erasure as protection, claiming he's helping loved ones by eliminating suffering they don't need to carry. But what if Rick's memory manipulation isn't compassionate? What if it's the most sophisticated gaslighting weapon ever created? Examine what memories Rick chooses to erase versus what he leaves intact. In Morty's Mind Blowers, Rick consistently removes Morty's memories of Rick's failures, cruelties, and mistakes while leaving traumatic experiences that don't implicate Rick. Morty remembers monster attacks but doesn't remember Rick abandoning or manipulating him. Rick doesn't erase memories randomly. He specifically targets recollections that would allow victims to build coherent cases against his behavior. In The ABCs of Beth, Rick erases Beth's memories of childhood violence not to protect innocence, but to prevent her from understanding how her father shaped her destructive tendencies. Memory erasure correlates with Rick's most manipulative moments. After gaslighting Morty in the Vat of Acid episode, Rick erases deception evidence. When Beth discovers lies about her childhood, he immediately suggests memory modification. The memory gun deploys whenever victims get close to recognizing manipulation patterns. In Morty's Mind Blowers, entire shelves contain bottled memories of Rick's cruelties. This isn't occasional intervention, it's industrial-scale evidence destruction. Memory erasure functions as the perfect gaslighting tool because it eliminates victims' abilities to trust their own experience. When Morty feels uneasy around Rick but can't remember why, when Beth suspects manipulation but has no evidence, this is precisely how systematic gaslighting operates. Rick's memory erasure isn't compassionate protection, It's systematic psychological warfare designed to destroy his family's ability to recognize, remember, or resist abuse. The memory gun ensures Rick's victims can never build coherent resistance because they can never remember what he's actually done. These revelations expose Rick and Morty not as comedy about interdimensional adventures, but as documentation of systematic abuse that defines every relationship Rick touches.